Hi everyone, I'm Reina Augustine and welcome to the Community Impact. The reason behind this show is to bring to you the amazing people who are making a difference in the community. My James. Hi James.
Thanks, Rena. It's lovely to be here today.
James, I have met you many times in the community events and of course our good friend Duncan Pegg's office. So you have been into politics for how long now?
Well, I've been in politics I think for over 20 years. In fact, I was recruited into politics by Duncan Pegg himself at Griffith University in my first year of university. And I often think how different life would have been if Duncan hadn't got me involved in the first place. So Duncan was a prolific politician, a fantastic campaigner and a brilliant political mind. And he recruited me from the Young Labor Club into the student union campaign that we ran at Griffith University in 2000 and 2001. And I have to say, if I hadn't met Duncan, I think perhaps right now I would be perhaps an accountant or who knows. But I'm very glad that I met Duncan and got involved in politics. It's given me the opportunity to really give back to the community, and it's also given me the opportunity to the values and the things that are important to me to really try and put them into practice. And I really feel I've been doing that side by side with Duncan for many years now. Obviously, it's very sad that he's not here. And I'd probably start by acknowledging that it's a strange time to be involved in a by-election and a political campaign, but I'm doing exactly what Duncan would have wanted me to do.
Absolutely.
Working as hard as I can. So getting on with the job of the campaign and yeah.
And you're doing amazing. James, when you mention saying that doing something for the community, what do you mean by that?
Well, if you have a look at, again, going back to Duncan when he was first elected in 2015, politics, obviously there's political parties, but also there's the work of the local member and what they do in the community. Now, I was saying earlier today when I was speaking to some people on the campaign trail that Duncan, it was very easy to work for Duncan because he didn't actually have a very big ego. So when I was going to work, it wasn't so much working for Duncan, it was really just working for the community. And you would have seen Duncan at many, many community events, and I was always there behind the scenes helping where Duncan had issues, and I would go off and work on one problem or work on another problem, help a community group to get a grant, try to help different community groups get assistance with governments by contacting, assistance through ministers' offices by contacting the right people. So working, using the office of the local MP for the benefit of the community has really been what I've been involved in for the last 7 years since Duncan was first elected. And it's a very rewarding feeling when your job really is helping people.
Helping people,
exactly,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the by-elections are just nearby?
That's right. So for people in Stretton, it's obviously important that they know that the by-election's on the 24th of July. So not too long to go now. It'll be just an election for Stretton, and interestingly, because of the way it happened, with Duncan passing away in office, the election date was selected by the ECQ, so it's not too far away actually, the 24th of July, and people will have the option of voting in person at the local schools, or alternatively they can do a postal vote. They can apply online for a postal vote, and there'll also be pre-polling open at in Leroyd Road in Acacia Ridge, and that'll be open from the 12th of July, so next Monday.
James, you are a migrant.
Yes, that's right.
I just found that out now. I know you for a long time, so tell me more.
So my family emigrated to Brisbane from the United Kingdom, from London, in 1989. So I was 8 years old at the time, and my parents made the decision to, like many families who come to Australia, they wanted a better life, and they always say that it's the best decision they ever made. I don't know where I'd be if I was back there in London right now. I'm very glad to be in Brisbane, especially with the COVID situation as well. But I think coming to Australia really gave us some amazing opportunities, and also my story is very, very similar to everyone's story in Stretton especially, and you would have heard Duncan say many times, Stretton's the most multicultural community in the whole of Queensland. So my story is very similar to other people's, and one thing I would say though, it was a little bit easier for me because I didn't have to learn a new language when I arrived.
English.
Exactly. So
made it easier.
Absolutely. Yes.
So you are a part of the most multicultural part of Queensland. So how does that feel? It
feels great. So I really think, working in the Stretton electorate office is fantastic because our group is so multicultural. What you find is we do have a lot more groups and organisations who are based in the Stretton electorate or have members who live in the Stretton electorate from every different ethnicity, every different religion, every different group. They're all here in Stretton, and they're all really working. If you look at what they're all doing their own thing, but it's all very similar actually. They're all working for the benefit of their community, and by doing that they're benefiting everyone. So it's really a multicultural success story, Stretton. If you look at even the census data, so we do have the most multicultural electorate, but we also have higher than average outcomes for education. So on average, people in Stretton have a higher level of education. On average, incomes are higher. It's a successful community, and it's a vibrant community, and also it's great because not only do you get to celebrate Christmas, you get to celebrate Diwali, Eid, the many different
all the festivals you can think of.
Chinese New Year. So that's an added perk as well. Not to mention the food.
Yes, absolutely. Variety.
Plenty of variety, and Duncan would say all the time, you can eat your way around the world in Stretton.
That's correct.
We tried our best.
Yes. So James, every community has a problem, right? And and it's very hard to communicate and convince them to do, ask them to do what you really want them to do, right? Myself, I'm from a migrant background, and coming from a different culture, different tradition, you live, you are from the Stretton area, the most multicultural part of Queensland. So when a problem arises, how do you look after each culture?
Well, the most important part actually, Rena, is that every group, every community group, every member of the community, no matter what background they're from, should really have a feeling, they should really know that the local MP's office is there to serve them, whoever they are. And the MP's office is a place where they can come and get assistance with all levels of government. So they might have an issue that's with a school or a road or a police, or sometimes it's visa issues. They should feel that they can come to the Stretton electorate office for help. Now, what we can do there is then we can contact local ministers' offices for further advice and further assistance, and that happens quite often. Just recently, earlier this year, we had a gentleman came in who was having issues with cataract surgery for his eyes, and he was registered as assessed as a Category 3, but his optometrist advised he was a Category 1. And working in Duncan's office, we were able to bring that to the attention of the Minister's office, and they moved things around quite quickly and got his surgery brought forward. So those are things that we can do in the local MP's office, and that we do for everyone. And another aspect of that is of course, providing assistance to people with different language backgrounds. So if they do speak a different language, we do have Queensland Government interpreters who can assist. But quite often they'll come in with their son or daughter or a relative or someone who can help. And there's people in our office as well who can speak a few different languages. We have a Korean speaker and a Mandarin speaker as well.
Wow. So should I put it this way, that if the community has an issue, they can come and put that issue to the local MP and he can find a solution, or send him or her to the place where they can find a solution?
That's right. It's a bit like a clearinghouse, so it's a central point of contact. And we can't promise to solve every problem, and in fact, that you can probably get yourself in trouble if you promise to be able to solve every problem. But people really deserve an answer, so if you can help, you can provide the correct advice. This is where you need to go. This is the grant that you should apply for. This is how you apply for the grant. This is what you need to do. These are the people you need to speak to. These are the documents you need. All of these things we can help with in the MP's office. And in Duncan's office, we were always very busy, so we had quite a bit of experience with all the different issues that come up. So, yeah, the MP's office is really a central point of contact.
Because he was so approachable. He was a people person, so people didn't hesitate to come in.
No, Duncan was definitely a people person.
Yeah.
He had more friends than anyone else I know. And he spent a lot of time. He really enjoyed talking to people and being with people and really learning about them and listening to them, not sort of telling them his thoughts, but listening. And my commitment to Duncan is to carry that on, to try and carry that tradition on, and to carry on how the Stretton office works. And really the philosophy behind it is that the MP, I mean, they are a leader, but first they should be a servant. So it's about being a servant of the community.
So politics is not easy.
No.
No, it never has been.
No, it isn't. That's very true, Rena. But maybe perhaps it shouldn't be easy. It's a battle of ideas. So we have our ideas in the Labor Party and Anastasia Palaszczuk about how we should deal with COVID and how we should push our economic recovery on. And other people have other ideas, and those ideas are sort of argued about, and ultimately one side wins and one side gets to push forward their agenda.
So my question to you, James, is you've been in this world for 20 years. Wasn't there a time when you said, I had enough because this is too much of, negativity? Have you ever felt that way?
Maybe sometimes. However, for people like myself and people like Duncan, politics is really, it's a bit like a vocation or a calling. Maybe not as, I couldn't really compare it to a religious calling. That's a whole nother level. But the reason you keep becoming drawn back to it is because you want to contribute to the community. You have strong and passionate ideas about what you think will benefit the whole community, about what is good for working people, what's good for families, about how government should spend the money that they have in their budgets for the benefit of everyone. And many people probably wouldn't want a career in politics, but if you're drawn to it, you'll keep getting drawn back to it over and over again.
So the positives outweighs the negatives.
Absolutely, yes. That's a very good way of putting it, actually, Rena. There are some negatives, but the positives definitely outweigh the negatives overall.
All right. James, if people want to get into politics, people are scared, to be honest with you, especially the migrant communities, because we think that, will we get a fair chance, right? Whom to approach, how to get into it. So what would you suggest them? How can they start?
I think this is a very interesting question, and it's actually something I've been talking about quite a bit lately on the campaign. As I've been campaigning and speaking to families, especially multicultural families, what you find is a few things. Number one, especially in Stretton, quite often their children are very successful. So you'll have doctors, lawyers, engineers, IT professionals, business owners, and their families have really led them down that track, looking for success and security. And politics perhaps hasn't really been part of that conversation, whereas I think it really should be. I think if there's any mums and dads watching, and maybe their kids, they've got a little bit of a passion in them about politics, that you could encourage that passion and get them involved in their local branch of their local political party. Obviously, I would prefer they would come to join the Labor Party. I think that would be fantastic, the Stretton branch. But that's the first stage that you get involved in, is your local branch. And local branches are really just little meetings where people discuss and debate policy. They get together. They also support campaigns like my campaign at the moment, and my local branch is fantastic. There's, I think, over 60 people, and it's very active, and they're all helping along on the campaign. So that's the first step, is getting involved in your local branch. But I would say it's probably not something you can force someone into.
No.
But if you see a little inkling there that they've got a passion for politics, encourage them to get involved.
I have seen Duncan posting about the young school kids going to Parliament and visiting.
Yep.
So tell us more. So anybody can go and visit Parliament?
Yes, absolutely. So Parliament is a public house. Actually, during any question time, if you would like just to go to Queensland Parliament House, you can go, you sign in, and you can go and sit in the viewing gallery and watch the MPs argue in the chamber. Sometimes it can be very interesting. So I'd encourage anyone to go along. But Duncan and myself used to give, and will still continue, hopefully, to give school tours. So the local school children will come to Parliament House, and we'll give them a tour of the Red Chamber and the Green Chamber and all of the Parliament building.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a fantastic place, and we've done countless school tours, and the kids always do find it fascinating and interesting when they come to Parliament.
I thought that it's a very good way of introducing the kids that, hey, look at this is how the country is running.
Absolutely.
Right?
There's another program that's also very good, and it's called the YMCA Youth Parliament, and that's open to school children who would like to apply to be involved. And basically, a young person is selected from each electorate in Queensland. They apply through the YMCA, and you can go on the YMCA website there if anyone's interested. And yeah, they can apply to be the youth member for that area. So the young girl who's working in our office now, who Duncan employed, Emily Kim, she was the YMCA youth member for Stretton, I think about 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, she really then decided that she wanted to pursue politics. And now she's working in Duncan's office, and she's already a very valuable member of the team.
Yes, I've met her. She's amazing, amazing. So a youngster is interested to get into politics, and they have no idea what to do. So where do they go?
Well, I would suggest two things. Firstly, they should go to their local branch. So the Stretton branch, for instance, meets once a month on the first Monday of the month. And actually, you can join the Labor Party from the age of 15.
Okay.
And so there are quite a lot of young members who come along. That's the one way of getting involved. Another way of getting involved is through Young Labor, and these are very active at the universities. There's Young Labor branches, and they do their own sort of campaigns as well, often involving the student union. So those are the two ways to get involved. And all you really need to do is email your local MP. To check which party they're from. You probably want to email someone. If you're interested in joining the Labor Party, you should email a Labor MP. Yeah. Or you can contact party office, the Queensland Labor Party office as well.
And you get into that through that. Yeah. Okay, so if there's one advice that you would like to give the youth right now, what would that be? I
would say that you have to aim high. And don't be scared of failure. So accept that failure is going to be part of your journey. And once you accept that, and then you focus on what you're passionate about, move forward, every day towards it. And especially if you've got an interest in politics too, no one's going to give it to you. You've really got to work hard, keep moving forward, and eventually you'll get there. Fantastic. We wish you all the best, James, and thank you for joining us. Thanks very much, Rena. Thank you.